Hi everyone, welcome to this Facebook Live session. This is Mahiuddin Ahmed from Singapore Maths Academy. I'm going to be taking you through this whole video. I'm the founder of Singapore Maths Academy. I thought I'll just talk a little bit about our academy and what we do, what we specialize in. As you can probably tell by the title, by the name of our company, Singapore Maths Academy, that we're a maths specialist company. All our teachers are qualified teachers, are passionate about maths. We have a name that's quite unusual. Get asked quite a few questions about why we're called Singapore Maths Academy, whilst we're based in the UK. Well, it's mainly because Singapore are the leading nation in the world for maths education. And they have been for about nearly 30 years now. And my own training, about a good 10 years ago now or so, has been on Singapore Maths as well. So I was trained by some of the most expert consultants and trainers around the world from Singapore. And hence I was so passionate about it. I thought this has to be something that we take advantage of in England. And ever since then, there's been a huge rise in Singapore Maths in England. And I myself, I'm a trainer. So I train schools all around the world on Singapore Maths. It's a bit more about myself there. I think we'll get started. Got a few viewers, which is great. But if you are watching this recorded, you can also ask questions in today's session, and I'll take you through I'll answer as many of those questions later on when I get a chance. If you're watching live, which would be great, tell your friends and family to watch as well. It'd be brilliant, especially if they're going to have children taking part in the CSSE exams in September, which is next month. Let's get started. I think the sound is clear for everyone, and we're going to jump on to question one. That's question three, sneak preview of question three there. But if you haven't got this revision mat already, you can find it in the files section of this group. Okay, so just jump onto the files section of this group and you will see a revision mat. This is revision mat 2. We've also got revision mat 1. Have a go at those questions. There's a Facebook Live for revision mat 1 as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with question 1. It says here, the CR7 machine works like this. In, add 7, multiply by 7, take away 7, and out. So if you input 5, then the output would be 5 add 7 is 12. 12 times 7 is 84. 84 take away 7 is going to be 77. So input 5, output 77. Hopefully that's quite clear for most of us and our children. But the question says a more efficient machine is made that only has 2 calculations instead of 3. So at the moment it's add 7 times 7 take away 7. 3 calculations. But there's a new machine with only 2 calculations needed, but you'll still have the same output. What could be the 2 operations? So in order for us to do this, we can do it different ways. We can have trial and improvement, but it might take our children quite a while to get this one. Okay, what I would suggest would be to kind of, if you're very confident with algebra, then algebra will be something that I would suggest you use for this type of question. Let's have a go at trying to solve this. So if we have an algebraic solution, if we call x the input, then we're going to add 7 to it. So it becomes x add 7. Then what we're going to do is multiply that by 7. So it becomes 7 brackets x plus 7. And that, if we expand, will be 7x plus 7 times 7 is 49. So 7 times x is 7x. 7 times 7 is 49. And so we have 7x plus 49. But then we're going to take away 7 as well. So we've got 7x, add 49, take away 7, which is 7x, add 42, which simplifies to 7x, add 42. And what that means, if you remember, I said that if x is the input, then what we're saying here, actually, the output is 7 times the input, add 42. And so if we had only 2 operations for this specific machine, instead of 3, a more efficient machine would just have times 7, and then we've got input, times 7 and then add 42, and that would be the output. And you've got two calculations there, multiplied by 7 and add 42. So what you're looking for here is times 7, add 42 as your solution to this problem. A more efficient machine wouldn't need 3 operations or calculations. It would just need 2 calculations, which is multiplied by 7 and then add 42. That would work more efficiently. Let me know if that made sense. Give me as many comments as you can so that I'm aware of, that you understand what I've gone through, if it made sense, even if it's challenging, if you didn't understand, just let me know. That way it's a much more smoother experience for everyone. Why? Because when we're on Facebook Live, when I'm delivering a session to children, or if I'm delivering a session to adults in a school, I can see your faces. I can see what you're doing, the reaction you're having. I can see if I should move on or not. So when I go through a question, it'd be great to just write any comment, whatever it is. That way I get a feel of the class. I get a feel of what's happening and whether you understand or not. Okay, so our next question. Let's have a look. Question 2. Sarah says that she found a value for x where negative 4x take away 7.5 equals 11x take away 112.5. So we've got a few negative values here, negative terms in this equation. How do I know the equation? It's got an equals here as well. Okay, so it's an equation. How am I going to solve a question like this? What I would suggest, again, is if you're going to have an algebraic equation like this, then there's a certain way that I, at the Academy, like to go through algebraic equations. If it isn't done this way, what I've seen from my experience as a secondary head of maths, as well as a primary teacher as well, I've seen that there are lots of children that make huge mistakes or give up when it comes to the more challenging questions in algebra and in equation solving. So a certain method allows them not to make silly mistakes or not to give up because they don't know what to do, because it's so unclear because of the strategy, the method they've used to solve this equation. So here, I'm going to write this out here on my right hand side. Negative 4x take away 7.5 equals 11x take away 112.5. So with a question like this, what I tend to ask my children is, well, we're going to try to eliminate, we're going to try to eliminate some of these so that we have the x terms on one side and the non-x terms on the other side of the equal sign. What should I do, class? Should I take away, which one should I eliminate, sorry? Should I eliminate the negative 4x or the 11x? And typically, a lot of children would say eliminate the 11x. But that would be possible and you can still get the question right. It's not a problem. But what I tend to find is if I eliminate the 11x, it means I'm going to take away 11x on both sides. Now, that eliminates the 11x. But now I've got to deal with negative 4x take away 11x, which means a more larger or smaller rather negative number. And so with negatives, children tend to find them a bit of a struggle. That's why I would suggest, why don't we add 4x on both sides? What would happen there? Negative 4x add 4x is eliminated. 11x add 4x is 15x. So I'm going to have 15x take away 112.5 is equal to a negative 7.5. So from this point, I'll ask my children, well, I've got the x's on one side now. It was challenging before. Why? It was challenging before because we have x on both sides of the equation. Now we've only got x on one side. Just by making one move, we've got x only on one side, which helps us a lot because we've seen equations like this before. They're much more simpler to solve. So I'm going to now add 112.5 on both sides. That eliminates this 112.5, but I'm going to have to do that on both sides. So I have 112.5 added to negative 7.5, which means I have 105, a positive 105 is equal to 15x. A positive 105 equals to 15x. Therefore, x is going to be divide both sides by 15. Divide both sides by 15. X is going to be 7. 7 times 10 is 7. 7 times 5 is 35. So altogether, 7 times 15 is 105. Yeah, it works out. X equals 7. Now, some of you children may be able to solve equations like this quite simply. Some might struggle. The reason they may struggle is because of the strategy or the technique used by their tutors or themselves, or even you as a parent might have taught them a certain way of solving equations like this. And therefore, it can be a struggle because it might look very similar or the same even as the way I've done it, but the wording we're using is different. A lot of teachers say if you take it to the other side, it swaps the sign. So if it's negative 7.5 on one side, put it to the other side, it becomes positive 7.5. That's not how equations work. So we have to be really clear about what's happening when we're solving equations. And that's another whole lesson I'm not going to go into today. Question 3, Sherlock is trying to work out the median age of 8 detectives. Their ages are, and it's written there. And so here we need to work out A, what is the median age of the 8 detectives? So in order for us to work out the median, we have to put them in order and find the middle number. So we've got, let's say 39 is the smallest number, or 37, then 39, then it's 45, then 48, 45, 48, we've got 45, 48, then 51, 58, 67, 51, 58, and 67. Okay, 51, 58, 57. Oh, I've got 64 here as well, so 64, 67, excuse me. All right, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got 8 numbers, just to double check that I've got all of them. Great, I've got 8 numbers. Now, if I start eliminating 2 at a time, the smallest 2 and the largest 2, and I keep doing that until I have 1 or 2 in the middle. I've got 2 in the middle for this one, because there's an even number of numbers. And so I've got 2 in the middle, 48 and 51. So in order for us to work out the median, when we've got 2 numbers, we have to find the middle of those 2 numbers. And the one way we can do that, if you're not sure, is 48 add 51 divided by 2. Or if we know 48 to 51, 49, 50, 51 is only a difference of 3. So that must mean half of 3 is 1.5. So it must be 1.5 more than 48 and 1.5 less than 51. So the median age is going to be 49.5. So median age 49.5. Then we've got 3b. It says here that the 9th detective is hired. A 9th detective is hired. Her age is different to all of the other 8 detectives. So she's not going to be 37, 39, 45, 48, 51, 58, 64, 67. We know that. It's different, right? But the median of the 9 detectives now changes. It changes actually to her age, the new detective's age. What are the possibilities for her age? Now, because there's 8 numbers, if there's another detective, that means that there'll be 9 detectives and there'll be 9 ages, right? And so the median would only be 1 number because there's 9 numbers. There'll be 4 that are smaller and 4 that are larger than that middle number. And so the 9th detective has to be in between these 2 ages, 48 and 51. And because it's different to all of the other ages, so it can't be 48, 51, the only age that she could be is 49 or 50, right? Or there. So she can be 49 or 50, and that way the median becomes her age if it's 49 or 50, and it's a new median, okay? And she doesn't share the age with any of the other detectives either. So 49 or 50 is what we're looking for question 3. Question 4, a die is rolled and a coin is tossed. What is the probability of getting a head and a prime number? So if we think about a die and a coin, they're 2 different things, right? For a coin, it could be heads or tails. For the dice, it could be heads and 1. It could be heads and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And same for tails, it could be tails and 1, or it could be tails and 2, It could be 2003, 2004, 2005, and 2006. So these are all the possibilities. So you can see that there's 6 possibilities of heads, 6 possibilities of tails. Altogether, there are 12 outcomes, right? There are 12 outcomes. There are 12 possible outcomes. It could be head and 1, head and 2, head and 3, head and 4, all the way to head and 6, or tails and 1, tails and 2, tails and all the way down to tails and 6. And so what we're looking for is, what's the point of getting a head? So we want this, we want this for the coin, head, and we want a prime number. So 2 is a prime, 1's not a prime, 3 is a prime, 5 is a prime. So I've got 1, 2, 3. It could be heads and 2, heads and 3, heads and 5. There are 3 outcomes out of 12 outcomes that will allow us to have a head and a prime number, and therefore 3/12 is equal to a quarter. So you can write 3/12 or a quarter, because probability you don't need to cancel down unless the question says in its simplest form. Okay, so probability 3/12 or 1/4 is fine. Okay, question 5. Bit of a trickier one. Okay, Hassan leaves home for school at 7:20. So with time, I always prefer, even as a teacher, I always prefer to have some sort of timeline. So 7:20 is here. He leaves school. We know he arrives back home at 4:44, so that's quite a long way down. 4:44 is when he arrives back home. He takes the same amount of time going to school as he does home. So let's say school is here, and this is how long it takes to go to school. This is how long it takes to go back home. Same amount of time, equal amount of time. Okay, right. If a third of the journey is spent traveling, so from 7:20 to 1:44, he goes to school, spends time at school, and then comes back home, right? So a third of that time is spent on traveling. At what time does he get to school? So we know he leaves school at 7:20 a.m. So we've got to work out what a third of this, all of this time is. So we've got this time frame. All of that time we've got to work out a third of. So firstly, I might do 7:20 to 4:44. How long does that take, right? That's what we're trying to work out. But instead of 4:44, I might just work in hours first, okay? Or I might do the minutes first, right? So I might do 7:20 to 7:44, right? Why 44? Because I'm going to get to 4:44, right? 7:20 to 7:44 is 24 minutes. 24 minutes so far. 7:44. Then I've got 8:44, 9:44, 10:44, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 9 hours. So 7:44 to 4:44 is another 9 hours. So I've got 9 hours and 24 minutes is the time between home. Is the time between home and home. So his home here at 7:20, he leaves home and he comes back home at 4:44. And so what we need to know, what we just found out, that is 9 hours, 24 minutes. And so a third of that time is spent traveling. So a third of 9 hours, 24 minutes, a third of 9 hours is 3 hours. Third of 24 minutes is 8 minutes, 8, 16, 24. So he actually spends quite a long time, 3 hours and 8 minutes traveling. But because he travels there and back, that's all of his traveling, 3 hours and 8 minutes. And so to school, he takes the same amount of time from school to home. So half of 3 hours is 1.5 hours. Half of 8 minutes is 4 minutes. 1.5 hours, 1 hour, 30 minutes, add 4 minutes is 1 hour and 34. So it takes 1 hour and 34 minutes to get to school. And he takes 1 hour and 34 minutes to get home after leaving school. And so with that in mind, I got to work out at what time that is. So 7:20 add 34 minutes is going to be 7:20, is going to be 7:54, 7:54. Add another hour, 8:54. So maybe school starts at 9 o'clock, I don't know. But he gets to school at 8:54 a.m. and that is the time he would get to school. So that was the question. 8:54 is the answer. Quite a lot of working out there, as you can see, but time questions can be troublesome for a lot of children. So what I would suggest for time questions is having that timeline. It does help immensely just to clarify everything in your mind. Even with the speed, distance, time kind of questions, again, having that line with all the information on there rather than trying to figure out, oh, what was that thing again? Oh, I have to read the question all again from the beginning. So you waste a lot of time doing that. So having a timeline is really useful. The next question, what will be the 99th term in the sequence above? So here, even though the term starts with -27, it's going up, as you can see, by 8. It's going up by 8 each time. So because it goes up by 8, the nth term for this sequence will start off with 8n. Just like the 8 times table goes up in 8, this also goes up in 8, but it doesn't start off in the same position as the 8 times table. In fact, the first number is going to be, I know 8 times table is 8, but this is -27, so it's actually 35 less than the 8 times table, so it'll be -35. Now there's two ways of working out what to add or subtract. You can enter 1, n equals 1 here. 8 times 1 is 8, but my first term is -27, so I've got to take away another 35 to get to -27. Another way of thinking about it is what sometimes we used to call the 0th term, right? This is the first term. What would the one before the first term be if there was one, right? And because it goes up by 8, then the one before that would be 8 smaller than -27, so it'd be -35, and that's why we've got negative or take away 35 here for this nth term. So here is the nth term, 810 take away 35. It's asking for the 99th term, so we just do 8 times 99, whatever that is, take away 35. 8 times 99 take away 35 will be 8 times 100 is 800. Take away 8 is going to be 100. 800 take away 8 is going to be 792. 792 take away another 35 is going to be 757. So this is 757 as our first answer. 757. Let me know if you can hear me okay still. Any kind of communication would be great, guys and girls and parents. Don't know who's listening, parents or children. Part B, another sequence has the nth term -3n plus 9. And that says it's give one term that both sequences will have. So we're looking for when does -3n plus 9 is going to be equal to 8n take away 35, the nth term for the previous sequence. And so we have an equation like this, and we solve the equation. So if we're going to solve this equation, what can we do? Let me just lasso this and make this a bit clearer. That's better, a bit more straight. There we are. And so you've got -3n plus 9 equals 8n take away 35. Similarly to the question we did, I think it's question 2 here. So I'm not going to go through it fully with you. I'm just going to go through it quickly and not talk too much about it. Again, what should I get rid of? The n or the number first? It doesn't really matter. Which number, n value or number first, doesn't matter. The term that I want to try to get rid of maybe is this -3n, right? Because I don't like this -3n. So I might add 3n on both sides. If I do that, it cancels this out, and I'm left with 9 equals 11n take away 35. 9 equals 11n take away 35. I want to eliminate this 35, so I add 35 on both sides. And so I have 44 equals 11n, and therefore n equals 4. Now, that doesn't mean 4 is the value that they the term, sorry, that they both would have, it means it's the fourth term. So it's the fourth term that they both share, right? So if it's a fourth term they both share, I know the fourth term is given already. 1, 2, 3, 4 is -3 here. So which we give one term that they both have in the sequence is -3. How do I check that? Well, I can do -3 times, I can do 4, that's the fourth term. 4 times -3, -12. -12 add 9 is -3, so it works for this one. This gives us -3, and this already gives us -3. You can see from the question itself. And so it's -3 is the term that they both have in common, and it's the fourth term for both of those. Question 7. 5 Smurfs were asked their age. The mean of their age is 12, the mode is 14, and the range of their age is 6. So you have possibility of having different answers here. Because the mode, which means the most frequent, mode sounds like most frequent, that means I'm going to maybe put a few 14s here. Maybe 3 14s is enough, okay? I know the mean is 12, so 5 times 12 is 60. So the sum of these 5 numbers must be 60, okay? Because it's 12 times 5. 5 numbers, mean is 12. So sum is 60. I've already got 14, 14, 14. 14 plus 14 is 28. Plus another 14 is 42. So 60 take away 42 is going to be 18. So these two have to add up to 18 in order for my mean to work. But I also noticed that the range is 6. So 14 take away 6, the largest number 14, take away the smallest number, which would give us 6, would have to therefore be 8. So the smallest number must be 8, because 14 take away 8 is 6. And so I know that the sum has to be 18. If one's 8, the other one must be 10. So 8, 10, 14, 14, 14 is one possibility for the Smurfs' ages. Question 8. So before I come to question 8, actually, so a few things we gotta remember. Mode sounds like the most frequent. We looked at the median already in question 3, I think it was. Yeah, here we are. Question 3, the median, and that's the middle number when in order. And then we are also talking about the mean, which is when we add all of the values and divide by how many there are. In this case, the mean is 12. That means altogether there are 5. We know that already. 5 times 12 is 60. The sum must be 60 of the 5 numbers in this case. And the range is not an average, right? It's not an average, but it's something that we talk about quite often when it comes to averages. And range is the simple one, which is you subtract the largest value from the smallest value from the largest value, and that gives you the range. In this case, the range is 6. Question 8. Out of 1,200 attempts, how many times would you expect to roll a square or a prime number on a die? So dies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Square number. So what are square numbers? 1 times 1 is 1. 1 is a square number. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 is a square number. 3 times 3 is 9. That's all the square numbers there are. And it says roll a square number or a prime. We know primes are 2, 3, and 5. So 5 out of 6 numbers are either square or prime numbers. So I'm going to write that down. 5, 6 of the numbers are square or prime. Okay, so I'm going to highlight the ones that are prime, just in case we're not sure. Prime numbers 5, 3, and 2. Square numbers, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. These are square numbers. Okay, so we know that 5, 6 of the numbers are going to be prime or square. So therefore, if it's rolled 1,200 times, we need to work out what 5, 6 of 1,200 equals. So we can do that by dividing 1,200 by 6, which is 200, and then times by 5. 200 times by 5 is 1,000. So you'd expect about 1,000 times for a square or a prime number to appear. Okay, so expectation doesn't mean it definitely happen, but that's what probability and expectations means. What around about 1,000 times is what you would expect. Okay, a regular polygon has 60 degrees for its exterior angles. So if we think about a polygon just means an n-sided shape. We don't know how many sides it has, but a regular polygon has 60 degrees for its exterior angle. So one of the exterior angles is 60 degrees. We know that we need to know that the sum of exterior angles equals 360 degrees. So that tells us that if the exterior angle is 60, 360 divided by 60 is going to be 6, right? There are 6 exterior angles in this shape, each of which has 60 degrees, and therefore altogether is 360 degrees. So it says, what is the name of the polygon? A 6-sided shape. I think it's called a hexagon. Correct me if I'm wrong. Right? It's called a hexagon. Okay, 6-sided shape is a hexagon. Right, and that's about it. I think that's question 9. That was quick. Okay, so half an hour. That's not bad. Okay, last time took about 45 minutes. So that's the end of our questions. I think we'll stop here. If you have any questions for yourselves right now, feel free to ask away. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Don't forget that you can ask away later on if you've kind of popped into this group and found this video later on. You can also ask me anytime afterwards. Thank you again, Agnes, for letting us do this. Singapore Maths Academy are really pleased to support the group and the resources and the quality of delivery as well, that other admin staff here deliver amazing material to you guys. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask away. If you don't, I'll end here. My name's Mohi again, part of Singapore Maths Academy. We're a maths specialist tuition. We focus on maths from primary year 3 all the way to GCSE. And for 11 plus, our main focus is CSSE maths and also independent school maths as well. So if you want to find out more, you know what to do. You can contact us via our page or our website email address as well, and we would love to hear from you. And if you feel that this was beneficial for you, please do let me know in the comments. And also look out tomorrow for our 3rd revision map, maybe the penultimate one. I think we've got one more after that actually for sure, and I'm going to try to do a 5th one as well, depending on the feedback we get from you as parents and children as well. That's all from me. Thank you so much for your support and watching this video. Don't forget to ask questions and give us some feedback on the video as well. Take care, everyone. Bye.